Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another psychic reading. I've taken about 2 weeks off from doing these types of readings. I'd had COVID and then after that I just needed a minute, so we're back. And we're going to be taking a look at why do souls forget who they are when they incarnate on Earth? Why do we forget, a lot of who we are, what's beyond this realm, our past lives? I know we sometimes remember, but for the most part we do kind of forget. So I wanted to tap into why is that, what causes that, and where that comes from. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to stay in this setup for the next couple of weeks just because the heat, it's very, very hot and my workroom is just sizzling hot. Can't work up there. So we're going to be in here for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, let's get in. So spirit guides, why do human beings forget who they are? Why do our souls forget who they are and their memories when they incarnate on Earth? Why do our souls forget who they are when they incarnate on Earth? We have the Knight of Cups. Why do our souls forget who they are when they incarnate on Earth? Five of Cups. Why do our souls forget who they are? We have the Emperor reversed. Why do our souls forget who they are? Oh goodness, I've just dropped that on the floor. We have Death. I'm going to do one more. Why do souls forget who they are when they incarnate on Earth? Six of Wands. And what I'm going to do is put 3 below. Like if you've ever seen my personal readings, that's what I do. So I'm going to put 3 below. Why do our souls forget who they are and their memories? We have 3 of Swords. We have the 2 of Wands reversed. Why do souls forget who they are? We have the Moon reversed. And the back of the deck, we have the 7 of Pentacles. First off, the first thing that I'm being told is we're actually not supposed to. In the energy that I'm being told we're all trying to get to, I'm actually being shown, in Nemo with the fish, where they get stuck and trapped in a net and they sing Just Keep Swimming, and they swim down to break the net to get out. That's a process that human beings are currently doing on Earth. But when that net goes over, there is that level of like amnesia, I'm being told. So we're swimming so that doesn't have to happen. So what I'm actually being shown there is the rise in consciousness and our souls trying to elevate in consciousness. Where in that net, we're trapped, we kind of can't move. We just keep swimming, we push down so that the net can go, and then we're kind of liberated then, we're out of the net, we can do whatever we want. So that's what I'm being told. We're actually not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to forget who we are. This is something that only happens when you go down into a certain level of consciousness, I'm being told. Why does it happen though? Like, why do our souls, because it's not like we go in and it's like, I'm gonna forget all of these things, this is what's gonna happen, and like I'm just gonna incarnate. It's not our souls like choosing to do that. I feel like our souls, if we had the choice, would remember a lot more. If you think about it, when people go through spiritual awakenings, they remember more of their past lives. We remember more of these little things that come through. Psychic gifts break. Why? Because a lot of the times when we go through spiritual awakening, we go through maybe an ego death, we go through the void stage, we let go of like ego and all of those pieces of karma we were taught. We start to work on it, we clear it, we liberate, we push out of the net, and we start to become unattached from that, and we start to remember who we are. We start to tap into different frequencies. We haven't cleared out the amnesia pill. We have just allowed our consciousness to expand. We've raised the kind of like vibration there, and we start to remember. So that's what happens. That's what I'm being shown. So what causes it then? So what causes that to happen when we're in the lower dimensions? What causes that, please, spirit guides, for us to forget? Why would a soul forget that? I'm just going to tell you what I'm being shown. I'm being shown a flower in a pot. Okay, so I'm being shown a flower in a pot and it turns into this massive tree. That massive tree is like all of consciousness, everything, whatever it is. And then the apple falls from the tree and the seeds go into the ground. All the seed knows in that moment is that it's meant to grow through the soil. It doesn't know anything else. But the more it grows through the soil and starts to peek up from the soil, it starts to see all of the other trees and go, oh, that's what I'm meant to be. That's what I'm meant to be. And then because they're seeing more, oh my God, like the branches and the fruits, they start to grow. And then the belief, like my belief, my consciousness is expanded. I thought I was just growing upwards through the soil and I didn't see anything else. So I was just kind of growing up. It was just dark. But now that I'm out of the soil, there are all these trees and now I'm aware, oh my God, I was a tree, duh. Like I was a tree. So then it's in my mind now, like, oh, tree. So I'm growing grand and there's all kinds of trees. And there's all these big, gigantic trees. So it's giving me like that hope. It's expanding my awareness and I grow. I grow into these trees and I'm being shown the realm that we're in on earth. We're like in the soil. We're in the soil. But when we peek through the soil, it's like, oh, and it triggers that like memory of like, this is who I am. You know what I mean? This is who I am. Why was I like running around in those circles? And why was I going round in these spirals? This is who I was this whole time. And then it's like, oh my God, yes, I remember. Of course I remember, because I fell from the tree when I was in that apple. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like it starts to come back. So why would the soul forget falling from the tree and being placed into the soil? Why would that seed forget doing that? Why would the seed forget falling from the tree in the first place? Show me the process of why the seed would forget that. Seed being us, why would we forget that when we incarnate? Why would we forget that? Bear with me if I go silent, it's because I'm being shown something. Why would we forget it? 5 of Cups, Emperor reverse, Death, 6 of Wands. Okay. Right. When we play a game and we play a video game, it doesn't matter if we won the game on our own Nintendo Switch or on our own PlayStation or Xbox. It doesn't matter if we are the best at it at home. The other person's console that we're on does not remember that. We could have beat everything on the game at home. We could have gone through every world, slayed every dragon. Our computer remembers that, of course it does. But when we go and buy a new computer, or we go and we buy a new, or we go on our friend's Xbox, our friend's Nintendo Switch, it doesn't have that memory. So we have to start from scratch. We may have the skill to do it because we've done it so many times before. That doesn't stop the fact that we have to start from scratch. And there may be things that we forgot about. We forgot that there was that dragon on level 2. We forgot that there was that castle on level 3. But we remembered it from before. We've done it before. We'll do it again. When we look at the vessels that we inhabit on earth, and we look at the, how do I put it into words? We look at the families that we incarnate into. Earth is in a lower vibration right now. The realm that human beings are in a bit of a lower realm. You know, it's dense. So when a soul gets into that body, into that family line, they are going into the soil because they're tapping, even though they've reached a level of consciousness elsewhere, that body, that timeline, the human beings on earth, that body didn't. That body is carrying on the DNA from what was before. That body is carrying on the mindsets of what was before, the illnesses from what was before, the pains, the hurts, the trauma. That body is deeped in it. So when that soul comes through, it has to start at level 1 and work its way out. But the soul, granted on how many times they've done this, will have those tools to work with that. They remember how to defeat the boss. They remember how to clear the trauma. They remember how to bounce back from X, Y, and Z. They remember to do it. But it'll come in time. But they've got to start on level 1, because a lot of these souls, and it's a lot of souls on earth. I know we're told sometimes, you know, like, there's only some people who have the mission to raise the consciousness. A lot of people's mission is to raise consciousness, even if they're not into spirituality in this lifetime. Maybe they're not meant to be. Maybe they're raising consciousness in terms of just the body's fitness and health. Maybe they're raising consciousness in terms of showing what unconditional love is, and just a very normal standard. We're in a relationship, we're having babies, we're just having this, and we're just going to work the quote-unquote normal job because my purpose in this life is to love. It doesn't mean, you know, when we see people with like spiritual gifts, it doesn't mean that like, am I putting this into words? Explain what was coming through, because there's been shown people with like spiritual gifts, but it's like the spiritual gift isn't the only key. Loving is also the key. The knowledge on fitness is also the key. The mindset on science is also the key. The mindset and sometimes just logic is the key if somebody has not worked that muscle up, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is, I hope this is making sense, there's so many souls more than we realize that are incarnating into those nets to push down, to just keep swimming, to liberate that family line. And it's in so many different ways that we don't even realize, not just in what we're normally taught, the spiritual perspective of like, I'm bringing gifts to the family line, or I'm bringing this to the family line. There's many other areas. It could be they're bringing finances to the family line. It could be, you know, finances, money, rich, whatever. We're bringing what my purpose in this life is to open up the throat chakra for this family line, so people can start speaking their truth, so people can start bringing this out. We're opening that up, so we're incarnating to do that. And it's like, just keep swimming, and we're bringing that through. So these souls, even though they're advanced, even though we have all of this memory, the body and the realm that we're in right now, those human beings do not have that memory because they're in this realm and they're kind of like stuck, you know what I mean, in this karmic loop. So we incarnate into the karmic loop, into the mindset those human beings would be in, which is, we're just swimming along. This is what happens. We're just in the net. And then we start to, because we've done this 1,000 times before, we all have. There's so many of us that have, you know what I mean? We're starting to work, and we're starting to clear, and we're starting to remember, oh, you know, I need to, I start to have this yearning for a family in this lifetime out of nowhere. I start to want to like love and nurture a family in this lifetime. And then it's like, having done that in other lifetimes, those gifts and that energy kind of like flows through to get you there. Or maybe you're meant to help with spiritual gifts in this lifetime, but you incarnate into an energy where they're not open. They're there, but there's so much wounding. So at first you're in that soil, and it's like, I'm just going to keep digging. I'm just going to keep working through this wounding. But the more I do it and the more I clear it, I'm starting to become aware of these spiritual gifts, because they're able to flow through, like the water flows through to fertilize the plant. And then I poke my head up from the soil, and that expansion, that consciousness is open, you know what I mean? And there's different layers to it. And when I say layers, it's not levels, this is better than that, it's layers, you know, because I'm being shown patches on earth where there's like people that are meant to make breakthroughs in science, just science. They're not going to be open to other areas because there needs to be a push in that direction for them, and being open to other areas could hinder what a breakthrough that they could have. So maybe they're disconnected from something else. Maybe they're disconnected from, let's just say, the more logic based to a degree, or the more spiritual based to a degree, because then there's a hyper focus somewhere because there's such a disconnect in that area, you know what I mean? So that they're almost like flexing that muscle, you know, whereas other people, they're working on connecting with spirit and bringing those energies through in this lifetime. And maybe there's less of it, like a disconnect, let's say, with the more logical side, because maybe they've been logical, you know, the whole timeline and the whole family line have been super logical. They've disconnected from the spiritual side, you know? So when we see people and they have a lot of something, it's usually because that family line was like lacking and disconnecting from it, so they're bringing it in. Because if you have a bunch of fish in this net and they're needing to break free, they're not just going to push in, you know, to the right. They're going to have some of the fish pushing left, some of the fish pushing right, and collectively they're all focusing on one thing that expands in different areas. The people that were focusing on the science, the people that were focusing on the spiritual side, the people that were focusing on the more logical side, the fitness side, the health side, they're all pulling in these different directions, which takes the consciousness of Earth from one vibration to another. And that's when the other souls then start to come in, and there's so many advancements because of the other generation, the other lot of souls. They have more room to play, and then it keeps going and it keeps going. So that bubble is getting bigger and expanding, that bubble being consciousness of humanity, to the point where there's so much room to play in the science side, the spiritual side, the physical side. We're back connected. We, as souls, we don't need to forget anymore because we're not going deep into the soil. Do you get what I mean? We're not even going deep into the soil like that. There's that openness. I hope that makes sense. So the reason that we forget, let me just go back and I'll go through and just explain it again just to make sure everything makes sense. The reason that we forget is the realm on earth right now. This is really interesting to me. The realm on earth right now, these souls, these bodies that we're going into, that we're incarnating into, we're lending these bodies. You know what I mean? We're incarnating into these bodies. And the consciousness of humanity is a little stuck and rigid in a certain dimension right now. So even though these souls have this higher frequency and that you know, their mind is expansive and they've done all of these things, human beings aren't so much connected to that. So for that soul to get, that human being to get up to where they are and to expand in that level of consciousness, they have to go down into that level of consciousness and from the inside out break through. That fish has to get inside of the net with the other fish, become like the other fish, to realize that they've got to push down. And then I'm being shown like one candle can light 1,000 candles. So when that happens, then that soul goes into that body, whereas, you know, that body was being created in a realm where everything was closed off. Maybe there was a lot of trauma. Maybe they were disconnected from the spiritual side, but they were super up on the logical side. Or maybe they were super connected to the spiritual side, but not so much on the logical side. There needs to be a balance. So wherever that imbalance was, that was stopping that soul, that human being from seeing from like a full perspective, that soul is going to go in and they're going to expand in awareness there, so that that human being can see things from another perspective. And when that human being's, you know, expands, and I'm being shown the apple falling from the tree, so that human being then has a child. And when we look at it from a global perspective, when the next generations come, that first layer have already expanded in areas to see things from a higher perspective, to open that level of consciousness that is going to be ingrained in the next generation, because that group of souls went in, started on first player and started moving there. So think of it like you're going on your friend's Xbox and they're struggling to get past level 3. You've already gone past level 3, but they haven't. So you have to go back to level 3 on your friend's Xbox to push past it. You can't just, that Xbox is not going to have the memory of you doing level 3 at home. So when you go on your friend's Xbox, you have to start from where they are and push through that to help that friend get past that. And then once you've done it and you've defeated that box, you can go, and that friend then is able to kind of carry on. I hope that makes sense. So that their Xbox has that openness, you know what I mean, to go on to level 4. And that's what happens. Human beings naturally are in a different density right now. So to be a soul and inhabit a human being, they have to be in that density. And that density is not remembering all that we are, because there's a lot of karmic layering over Earth right now. There's a lot of control placed over human beings and themselves right now, whether it's like the mind control in the sense of, you know, we're just like following something from like autopilot, but whatever it is, like I'm literally being shown it, the net being the fish from Nemo, you know what I mean? The net being the fish, the net covering the fish in Nemo when they like just keep swimming. That's what's happening right now. These souls are going in, you know what I mean? You can stand outside of that net and be like, oh, that net needs to come off. But the only way that we're going to get that fish out of the net is if we incarnate into one of these fish and push the net down to get them out. Do you get what I mean? So that is what is happening in terms of the incarnation process. And that is why we forget, our souls forget. Because we have to almost put a net over our own consciousness to become human, because that's the realm that human beings are in right now. But there will come a point where that won't need to happen anymore, you know? And it's, if you think back to like, let's just say 100, 200, 300 years ago, and you think of human beings that were a little bit more rigid and head down and whatever, like there would have been less room again for expansion. But because souls incarnated and expanded, we have what we have today, which is nowhere near perfect. We've still got the net around us, but we are a bit more open and aware in certain areas than we were before, if that makes sense. And And that's going to keep going and going until all the fish get out of the net. So Earth, we're not meant to forget. We're not meant to forget that, you know, who we are and all of our past life memories or whatever. And that's why when you go through ego deaths, you even go through a traumatic experience, because when you go through experiences like that, something breaks and opens. It's like a chamber, a Pandora's box that opens. You know what I mean? You've felt an emotion, you've tapped into an energy from a deeper level, and that's why these things start being revealed to you. Whether it's a spiritual awakening, or you start to feel more connected to your body and doing things different, whatever it is, there's an expansion in consciousness in like a certain area. And that's where you start to remember things, because it's like that plant has peeked its head through the soil and gone, oh my god, I was a tree. I was a tree. Of course I was a tree. Oh my god. Expansion unlocked. Let's grow into a tree, you know? And that is where, that's how it works. So there's not necessarily like, oh, I'm going through amnesia. You know what I mean? It's a case of, well, we're going to kind of have no choice, because that human being wouldn't have, there's so much karma there, they would not be able to remember those things. We're going to have to go in and clear, you know what I mean? And clear that. But it's also great for the souls, I'm being told. It's also like a win-win for the souls that want to expand in consciousness anyway and grow and learn. You know what I mean? It's like when a soul does that and they're, you know, incarnate in, because the thing is, our souls are connected to the God source, the universe. And why are we incarnated and doing all of these things anyway? We want to learn, we want to grow, and we want to become and create. What's the best way to do that? Going into the soil and creating from that. That's like the best thing to do. You can learn so much as a soul. So why wouldn't you do that? You know what I mean? It's like a win-win. It's great to do that. Let's become the fish and go through that process again and again and again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why would we not? And yeah, that's what that's what I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope I made it make sense for you. Sometimes I worry that I might not be making it make sense. So I hope that I did. I don't know why I have that fear when I do these readings, like, did I make that make sense? Did I give it justice? But I hope I did. And that's what I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of this, because like I always say with these readings, we all see things from different perspectives and different viewpoints, and you guys could have other viewpoints of seeing it that would also be a piece to the puzzle. So feel free to share what you think or what you've got channeling the same, you know, video. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching.